Thanks a lot, Frank. And yes, welcome to Woodbine Racing Live, everybody. Chad Rosema, along with our special guest, driver, trainer, husband, owner.
Father too, yeah.
Father, yeah. Pick 4 killer, I like to call you sometimes.
Sorry about that, bud.
Yeah.
That's the way it goes.
Anthony Macdonald, special guest on tonight's edition of Woodbine Racing Live. Tonight's a big night for you.
Yeah.
A big information seminar here at Woodbine. You're going to kind of dedicate your entire evening to thestable.ca, a new venture that you began with your wife back in August. How are things going with that?
Oh, things are great. I mean, we've got to meet a ton of really great people that have never been in the game before that wanted to buy a piece of a horse, and we were happy to let them. You know, it's anytime you have a venture like this, it's new.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't really know what to expect, but as we go along, man, it's been a great ride. You know, as trainers, you know, we sometimes forget what it's like to be involved with people that you know, they've never ever been in the game before, and you know that enthusiasm that they have, and when they come to the track or they come to the farm and they just want to see their horse, you know, they want to pet it, or they want to feed it carrots, or they want to walk it, or see it jog or train. You know, we're used to dealing with people, especially on this circuit. When you get to this circuit, you know, it's, you know, how come he got beat last night, or what happened, or how do you think he'll be this week? And there's a lot of pressure in that, and it's just a real pleasure to be involved with a group of great people that just want to be in it for the love of the industry. And you know, to be honest, it's this site's a number of things. But most importantly, at the end of the day, it's a great learning tool for a lot of trainers out there and a lot of horsemen out there that you know, we've had quite a struggle over the last 3 years since we lost the slots, and it's been really hard for a lot of people. And I write blogs also for Standard Break Canada, and a lot of times I've written about us losing our investment to other jurisdictions like Pennsylvania, Ohio, New York, New Jersey, wherever. And how do we get that back? Never dawned on me until I talked to my wife one day that we don't need it back. It would be nice if those people would come back to us and come back to this circuit, but there's millions of dollars of investment waiting out there in Ontario and around the world for people right here in Ontario. You know, this isn't an argument. I'm telling you, I've seen it. I've had people own horses in our barn from Northern England. You know, own pieces of horse in our barn from Illinois, Kentucky, Ohio, New Jersey, everywhere. And I get emails every single day. Last night I sat in the paddock. I had 2 drives, and I planned it that way. I didn't want to drive any other horses, just in the 5th and the 10th race.
Yeah.
And in between those 2 drives, I spent the whole time emailing people and calling people. And man, it's so great to talk to people like this. And a lot of the horsemen don't understand it. You know, they'll say to you, well, why would somebody want to buy 3% of a horse? Well, one, it's fun.
Yeah.
You know, and as I said to people when I blogged, they're going to go to the racetrack. They're not going to buy 3% of a beer or 3% of chicken wings or bring 3% of their friends or family. They're all coming. They're all eating, they're all drinking, and they're wagering on site, and that's what's important for this industry. Fractional ownership, you know, and we've all talked about it. This isn't my concept. Syndicates and fractional ownership have been around forever. But fractional ownership can easily be a savior for this industry, at least a foothold and a staging point for our resurgence in a market that we belong in. And what I mean by that is, we get these people in. 1, they can afford and they can budget to buy these horses. 2, they want to be here. They don't come to the track because, you know, they're down in their luck or they're bored. They come to the track because they want to be here. They love this industry, they love these animals, and they love interacting with the people that are in it. So you just can't do that anywhere anymore. You know, this is a special industry, and it was only for me working in politics when I knocked on doors of people in Guelph, and people would say, hey man, you know, you're that horse guy. I'd be like, yeah, I'm the horse guy. And they'd be like, and I'd be like, hey, so you like horse racing? Oh, I love horse racing. So do you ever go to Mohawk? No, never been. 15 minutes from Mohawk. They've never been. Yeah. Never owned a horse, never been to the track. This site's changing that, and I really hope that other horsemen make sites just like it, and that we get thousands of people out to the track, because horsemen, you know, not a lot of people understand this, but horsemen do. The money that we wager for, the money we wager on track, is where we get the majority of our money. And it's important that we get people out to the track. We need to build our fan base. We need to build revenue streams. This site and sites like it are going to be the way we start doing that.
I think there's a lot of people that think to get into the game, it's, you know, you need 40,000, you need 50,000. And that deters and turns a lot of people away.
Yep.
And as you say, you can do something like this and make it a very inexpensive and fun sport.
Absolutely.
You know, and you can kind of pick how serious you want to be with it.
That's the whole
thing. I think
thing.
that's what's great about it. So let's maybe talk about how it works.
Okay.
You know, if okay, let's say I'm a brand new guy. I'm looking to own, you know, a part of maybe a couple of horses or even just one. How do I get started?
So it's funny you asked that. I mean, I was Randy Waples and a couple of people in the driver's room last night, and I was explaining that in between races I sold 1% of a horse. I said, okay. So you sold 1% of a horse. Yep. What was the asking price of the horse? $15,000 plus HST. So what's that? It's $169.50. $169.50 for 1%.
Yeah.
Well, how much is the person's bill? 67 cents a day. What do you mean, 67 cents a day? $22.60 a month. Times that by 100, that's $2,260 a month per horse. That's all we're asking for. That's to pay for the hay, the bedding, the feed, everything, you know, to make sure that the stable runs correctly. It's extremely inexpensive. What do you do with 67 cents a day?
You know what?
Now, Chad,
even the 100 and something, I spend that on coffee a month.
Your hair gel's at least $3 per day. At least $3 per day.
At least that, yes.
Yes.
At least
So,
that.
I mean, it's inexpensive, and you know, it's just getting started. We had maybe, I don't know, 30 people upstairs, maybe more. You know, I've had at least 30 people email me over the last 2 days. We have 30 or 40 investors in the stable. We're going to the Meadowlands at the end of the month. We are going to sell out of all the shares that we have in these horses probably by the middle of April, first or the middle of April.
That's fantastic.
And when that's done, then I can turn it into something else. We're going to turn it into a stock market. You know, we have a number of ways to keep people interested in this game and keep people interested in this site, and that's what it's all about. I mean, everybody wants a deal. I was telling them upstairs. You know, a guy told me when I got in politics, he said, there's two things you got to be on the lookout for, both in politics and in business. I said, yeah, okay, what's that? He said, you never ever turn down two things. You never turn down a good deal, and you never turn down a breath mint. So, I mean, everybody's looking for a good deal, and it's right here, man. I mean, we make the unaffordable affordable, and that's what we've done. We've simply broken it down.
One of the coolest things I read you were talking about is how during the holidays, people were buying these as Christmas gifts.
I couldn't believe it.
That's fantastic.
This site shocks me and the people that get involved. I mean, I'm starting to get a foothold in it now, but it's such a great thing. I mean, I had a guy, he writes for the, Garnet Burnsdale writes for the magazine. Yeah, so anyway, he called me, he said, hey, I want to get 4% of a horse. I said, okay, no problem, man. He said, I want 2% for my son, 2% for my wife, and I want to give it to them for Christmas.
That's awesome.
It was unbelievable. I'm like, really? Another lady from Ottawa called me, wanted to buy 1% of a filly for her elderly father. It's great. I mean, this is the type of thing you get, though, and these are the type of avenues that are now open because of sites like this that otherwise wouldn't be. And people got to understand that it is out there. Investment is out there. Fans are out there. Investors are out there. We just need a better way to approach them. And sites like this and being open and transparent with people, it's the way we're going to bring this game back. I'm telling you, it's really something to watch.
Now, this venture became a reality for you and your wife, Amy, in August.
Yep.
So, I mean, this isn't something you just wake up one morning and say, let's do it, and that afternoon you pop it up on the website. How long did this process take for you to kind of, you know, when you thought you wanted to do it to when you went, you know, onto the internet with it?
Well, I mean, my wife loves working in the barn and she's always on Facebook, the same as I am. And we had some stuff on Facebook last year where people could see how the horses were training. And it really was only I ran into a few people from politics and saying, hey, you're still doing that horse racing thing? I'm like, yeah. Like, yeah, it's pretty cool, you know. I'm like, yeah, it is pretty cool, it is. I went home, talked to my wife, and I said, I think we should do this. And, you know, to start with, the site was 4,000, and then it was 5, and then it was 6. Now it's almost 10 or 12,000, but, you know, the initial investment is in. It's done. The site's done. The upkeep, a good friend of mine from politics, Justin Van Dale, he's done a great job with the site. He keeps it going. My wife works diligently to take care of the horses. You know, all the emails we get, they're answered immediately. I take all the phone calls. You can talk to any of the people that are in the stable, and that's a lot of the reason that people keep coming back. And people that are in the stable bring more people with them. It's the openness, you know. We're reachable. There's not just a name on a website, it's a face, you know. You can come to the barn whenever you want, 24 hours a day. If you want to swing by, swing by. And the whole thought that they're now included in something that they didn't think they could ever afford is absolutely remarkable to them, and it's such a great feeling being in business with these people. It really is. It really is.
I heard you earlier talk about you know, a stock market concept.
Yeah.
You know, so you have an initial, you know, value on a certain horse, but as we all know, you know, a horse can be training down. He's at a certain value, then all of a sudden he qualifies or he hits the races, and his value can jump considerably depending on who he is.
Yep.
and what kind of talent he shows. Is that what you're talking about, where you can maybe do some buying and selling? I mean, these owners are open to selling for whatever they wish to sell the share for.
That's exactly right. So it's an open market concept. I certainly don't. I set the prices on the horses that I'm the majority owner on.
Okay.
And the other majority owners set the prices on their horses. And the market will tell you whether that horse is priced underpriced or overpriced or properly priced. So a good example is there was a gentleman upstairs asking about Rose Run Speedster. Now he's a Winsong Aspire colt. We had bought him for I think 14,000 American. Brought him home. I owned half of him. He's on the site right now for 40.
Yep.
The guy said, "How come?" I said, "Well, if you look back at all the videos that are cataloged about Rose Run Speedster, he's done everything right since day one. Horse a gorgeous trotter. He does everything right. He's got a great attitude. So the price goes up on him. Now, when that horse is sold out, and all the horses are sold out, there's no prices on them anymore. So people that own shares can offer shares up on the site, or they'll be able to. People will be post on there and look for horses. You might love the way Rose Run Speedster operates in June.
Yeah.
Right? He's worth quite a bit more then as he was when these people get in. So maybe your $3,000 investment for 10% is now worth $7,500. Now you might want to cash in before the stakes.
Yep.
You know what? I'm going to take my $4,500 or whatever, $3,500 and run. It's going to be there. It's going to be an option. So what it'll happen after that is that we'll be able to have a financial report for the stable in 2015/16 and say, this is what the first wave of people get in for. This is a return on their investment. This is what the second people get in for. This is a return on their investment. This is what the horses earned. Here's the return on the investment for the investors that stayed in. And that in turn alone will also bring more investors to get in on the ground floor. So next year when I go to the sales, I won't have to look for owners after we bought the horses. We'll have money banked to buy horses with, and then the stable will run even more fluidly. I was very fortunate. Blue Chip Farms, Tom Grossman sent me a horse. She's a really, really nice American Ideal filly. And we had 3 horses, but he sold 2 of them after the sale. This filly ended up in our care, and we really like her. Jeff Gorell, who owns the Meadowlands,
Yep.
he owns 2 horses with me that are on the site right now, Royal Sally and Sweet Jules.
Yep.
And Jeff's been a huge contributor. These people understand that this site, when it takes off and when we have it locked down and working properly, it's going to be a fantastic thing to be involved with. And not just for investors that want to get in at the ground level, but consigners that don't feel that they got fair market value for their horses at a sales ring. They could send the horse to us and fractionally sell them off for what they believe they're worth. And it's great for everybody. I mean, we're Switzerland. You know, I want people to send us horses, and I want horses on the site, but I need return investors. The only way to do that is to treat people great. We make sure that everybody knows anything I know about the horses, they know about the horses.
Yep.
I'm very critical in my commentary and truthful about how the horses are training if they have any issues. We've had horses that had OCDs taken out, and we make sure that people are aware of that also. So the site, the reason that it will take off is 1, because it's attractive. 2, it works very well. And 3, the whole stable works hard to make sure that it's a top-notch organization, and that people can come in and really experience the best part of racing, and that is ownership.
And I think anybody who's involved in the sport of horse racing, you know, like yourself and me, we'd love to see new fans here, obviously. And I think that's great. I commend you on what you're doing.
There's 30 of them upstairs.
Yeah, and that's awesome. I mean, that's fantastic. You know, even one new person to the track
right.
is a new fan gained. Let's take some questions here. We've got some questions. We'll go with you. Where did the horses come from, and do you own any of them? I know you've talked about owning some of these here. So ultimately, where did most of these horses come from?
So my wife told me not to talk about this, but
Okay.
I did what most people know they shouldn't. And my mortgage was up for renewal this year, and I actually took some equity out of my home and bought the first 4 horses. After
And a
that,
motorcycle, right?
No, I don't.
Okay.
No, I don't.
Okay.
I don't need a motorcycle. No, so I bought 4 horses, and we sold pieces of them right away, and bought pieces of other horses, and then Jeff Gorell bought us 2 horses. Blue Chip Farm sent us horses. Consigners sent us horses that they had retained from sales, and people that were looking to pinhook their horses on the site also sent us horses. So the site's very versatile. We get a wide swath of investment interest from the outside public, and it's been reciprocated from the investor side. So people have, as I said, had emailed us and called us from all over the world wanting to buy horses, and we know from looking at the analytics where the people are that buy these, that are looking at this site. You know, if you look at 5 people from the United Arab Emirates that have gone on the site, but they've only been on there a minute, it's not a big deal. But when you have 5 people from the United Arab Emirates that have been on the site for 11 minutes and have returned 2 or 3 times,
Yeah.
those are people you might want to attract.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter whether they're in China or whether they're in Asia or whether they're in Italy or Spain or wherever. If they want a piece of horse, if they want a piece of a horse, we'll be happy to facilitate them and accommodate them. And that's what this site will do. This isn't just about getting people in Ontario. This is about getting people in the world involved in horse racing. And sites like this, like as I said, I can't stress it enough. Sites like this are great for our industry because they get people involved in a game that we all love. But it's great for the horsemen because they recognize, you don't have to be depressed. You don't have to be down and out and think there's no more owners out there for me. They're there. Trust me, I know. And we can get them, we can get people involved. And I want to help other trainers get sites like this started, or whether you just do it on Facebook or Twitter or whatever. We need to encourage people to get investors from the general public, to get them out and get them at the track and get them enjoying a game that we all love, because there's the people in this game are the salt of the earth. Yeah. And once you're in this game, you're hooked. You love it. And very few people that have got out, I've had people that have called me and emailed me that have been out of the game for over a decade and said, I just can't shake the feeling, I got to get back in.
Yep.
And they buy horses.
Yep.
So they're there, the investment's there. We just have to use our just use what we are. We're just great people that want to see this industry survive and move forward, and that's all we need.
How many horses are on your roster?
23. 22. We sold one a week ago, and the gentleman the bottom wanted to turn them out for 2 months and send them back to us. So there's 22 in the barn right now. Of that, we have 12 left that have shares for sale. Of the other 10, they could have prices put on them any day, depending on what the new owners want to do with them.
Now, when they're fully sold and you
Yep.
get 100%, of the value sold, is that horse then move away from
It can, yep.
from your site, or can stay to continue to race kind of under your guidance? Or
So my wife and I, we do train race horses and race
Right.
them. So the option is always there for us to race the horses. But at the same time, if you want to buy the horse and move the horse to Rick Zeron or Ben Wallace or anybody else, feel free to. It's your horse, you do what you want. There's absolutely no obligations from the investor, from the owner, from the person that sent it or the person that bought it. There's no strings attached. This site's it's as easy to use on both sides as it can be.
Another good question here. Do you recommend fractional ownership of a few or more of one?
So we have people that have bought all of one horse or piece of 1 or 2 horses, and then we have other gentlemen that spread it around. They'll own 3 to 5 to 8% of 7 horses. And they just want to take a look at what they have, and maybe they want to turn a small profit later on, or maybe they want to watch them all race. I don't know, but to each his own. Whether you want to own, it's much like gambling. Do you want to put all your money to win on one horse, or do you want to save some to bet on another horse later on? And obviously, by the looks of you and how upset you were about the pick 4 last night, I'd say you're the guy that wants to bet on all the money on the one horse, but you should maybe spread
all
it
in, let it ride.
I think maybe you should spread it down a little
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, now you sound like my wife. Thestable.ca says they don't race horses.
Yep.
What happens when these horses are ready to qualify?
So we touched on that a little bit. We don't race horses. What I mean by that is I don't want people to think that they can't send me horses. Maybe they don't. I know there's a couple people out there that don't like the way I drive. So, Anyway, there's if people don't like the way that I take care of the horse or train them or race them or drive them, they're happy to. You can pick them up whenever you want. If you want to send me a horse, or my wife and I a horse in November and pick it up in January, go ahead. There's no strings attached. You can pick them up whenever you want. But we do train and race horses. So after the horse is ready to qualify, then we have a discussion with the ownership group and say, we're willing to retain the horse and train it. If you'd like it to go somewhere else, that's fine. But everybody in the ownership group has to agree. And that makes sure that whether you own 1% or 81%, your voice is important as the guy beside you. So it's very important to do it that way, I believe.
What other drivers and trainers are maybe involved in this with you?
That's
like daily stuff. Training these horses down, perhaps, or breaking them, whatever.
Yeah. So mostly Saturdays we try to have some of the drivers from around here. We've been very fortunate. I know a lot of people in this industry, and I'm very fortunate to have maybe friends that want to come out and help out. My brother James is in the next shed row, so I try to get him to go with as many as I can. Jonathan Drury was out today and comes out other days to go with horses. Sylvain Filion comes out quite a bit. Jody Jameson comes out. And I've joked with a couple of the other drivers, but No, I wasn't joking. Serious, Mike Saftik. You got to come out and go with some horses. 'Cause anyway, yeah, we try and get people. That's another thing that we do. You know, that somebody said, you know, are you worried about somebody else doing the same thing and cutting into your revenue? No.
No.
I have my brother that does the drone work at virtually cost. I have a guy, Justin, that works his butt off for virtually cost. You know, and we have some of the best rangemen in North America, or in Canada for sure, that come out to go with these horses. So am I worried somebody's going to do the same thing I am? Not in the least.
Now, is this venture something that's going to be restricted to yearlings that you're going to raise and break, or is this in the future, you know, some owner could put a 5-year-old on there that he values at some cost, and then somebody can buy into that?
Well, I mean, the reason we did it this way is because there's a lot of unknowns, like winter racing horses. So I can tell you it costs $2,000 a month for me to train your yearling down.
Yep.
But then when you get racing, if you have stake horses, you have stake payments.
Yep.
And you also have to truck the horse to the races, right? You have to have somebody paddock the horse. And you also have vet work that may or may not need to be done on the horse. So if I give you a flat rate for a horse, one of us is getting screwed. Because I don't know how much the vet work's going to be from month to month.
Yeah.
I don't know how many times the horse is going to race, where it's going to go, who's going to paddock it. So I really can't nail down a number. Now, what I've told the people that are involved with us is, if you know it's going to be $2,260 a month, I'm not making any more money on the race horses, but you are going to have to pay the added prices of trucking. But people are going to know this is how much it costs. It'll be itemized. This is how much it costs to go to Woodbine. This is how much it costs to go to Kawartha, Rideau Carlton, or in New York, wherever. Mm-hmm. You know, this is how much the paddock fee was. You know, this is how much the vet work would be. Now, before we do any vet work on the horses, whether we did operations on the babies or not, we made sure that everybody was on side and everybody was happy with the direction we were taking. So in that regard, it really wouldn't be that hard, but as long as people understood that there is a fluctuation there that you really can't nail down.
Now, obviously with it being something new to you and your wife, and obviously running this website, improvements that you guys are already maybe thinking you want to kind of get to, and anything you can maybe tell us about?
Listen, the site's changing all the time. A gentleman had asked me upstairs about making it easier just to pay on the site. We're working on something like that also. We are looking at racehorses, but until Ontario remodels the way that their B-track purses are and the way that we use the stock that we have in Ontario, I myself am a little timid to have racehorses. We have 9 right now, but I think we could do a lot better as an industry. So it's there, it's on the back burner, it's ready to go whenever we decide to pull the trigger, but it's going to take some time, and I'm not really in a rush to do it. It's not apples and oranges, it's like apples and fish. They're all horses, but it's not the same, and it's a different clientele, it's a different way of doing things, and I'm in a kind of a comfort zone with my wife now with the yearlings, and I think that's what we're going to stick to for now.
Okay, well, that's good. Tell me about the Trotter V for Victory. He's one that, on your site is, kind of deemed as a graduate of thestable.ca. He was a 2-year-old that raced in the OSS program, made some solid money, a 2-time winner last year, and looks like a trotter with quite a bit of promise. I
really like that colt. He just come up sick at the worst times. I think he was the favorite in 3 or 4 of the gold events. 3 or 4 of the gold events that we had, and he came up sick. And it was really heartbreaking, but an extremely talented horse in his own right. And, we were toying with the idea of doing this site, but the more we raced this horse and horses in the barn that we had with other people, the more we were really excited to do it. Mm-hmm. So I think this horse here was probably the horse that put us over the top to say they didn't give much for him. He didn't make a ton of money, but he made good money, and nobody can deny he had a lot of talent, and I think that he played a big role in us getting to where we are today. So he's kind of special in his own right in that way.
Okay. Well, I understand that you had some social media going on. Obviously, thestable.ca, part of social media with Twitter, on Facebook as well. And you had kind of an open draw for somebody, a chance to win a $300 credit to thestable.ca, which, based on what you told me for some costs, I could get you a decent little share of an ownership. So maybe you'd like to unveil who was the winner of this draw.
I noticed the first sheet you gave me, it actually said Chad Rosema. I didn't think, I asked the production people, it actually wasn't Chad Rosema.
Yeah.
So after investigation, I know the winner. I know who it is right here. I want to thank everybody for sharing that post that Woodbine put out, and for contacting me with questions. And we had almost probably 400 people between liking and sharing the post. There's a lot of people in that draw, and we did draw a name, and Christina Roach from Hamilton And her Twitter handle, she shared the post or retweeted it, is at Some Beach Horse. Although we do not have a Some Beach Somewhere colt or filly. We would like to have a Some Beach Somewhere in the barn.
Yeah.
But Christina, congratulations. I haven't talked to you obviously yet, but I'm sure we'll be in contact, and you can use the 300 however you want. If I was trying to take my wife on a cruise, I mean, if you just want to donate it back to the stable, I can, maybe go on a cruise or something, or at least pay for some of it. But if you want to buy a piece of a horse or get in, we'll certainly hook you up.
I can't believe you didn't bring me a toque today. How did you not bring me a toque?
Oh my
It's
God.
my birthday.
We ordered 40 toques.
Yeah.
We ordered 40 toques. I had 55 people ask for them on Facebook, about 16 on Twitter. I have a box of them upstairs. If people want to come by, we'll hook you up with a toque. But man, oh man, I don't have enough. So yeah, I'll get you a toque.
Okay.
But with your hair gel, I don't.
Oh no, this is the good hair gel. It won't affect it, I don't think. Not at all. It'll protect it actually as I walk through Woodbine here.
Poke a hole in the
yeah,
toque.
it could possibly poke a hole. But before we let you go, here's some contact information. We can call you at this number at any hour.
Yeah, that's my cell phone number. So when I got involved with
Yeah.
politics, I said, whatever you do, don't give out your personal cell phone number. Broken that rule.
No crank calls. There's the
That's
email.
my cell phone number. My email, Anthony at thestable.ca. My Twitter handle is at the stable Canada is our Twitter handle. Facebook, you can find myself or the stable on Facebook. And yeah, I mean, other than that, you can, we're going to be here all night.
I was just going to say, what else is going on
Yeah,
here
so
tonight?
we have two tables set up, one at the top of the escalator.
Okay.
And one
Second floor.
one on the second floor.
Oh, okay. Yep.
We have literature there on all the horses. You can sit down and talk to me or my wife or anybody else, and we're more than happy to talk to you. We've had, like I said, 34 investors, probably 30 people email me in the last 2 days asking about buying horses. We had 30 people here tonight. These horses are going to sell out, and I think it's going to get really cool after that. And I'm just really, really excited about 2016 with these horses, to tell you the truth.
Oh, great stuff. And yeah, I want to thank you for stopping by.
No, thanks for having me. I really
And
appreciate
all
it.
the best with this, okay?
All right, thanks very much.
All right. Well, thank you to Anthony Macdonald. And again, go visit him upstairs if you're on track here on the second floor. If not, all that contact information if you want to get in on fractional ownership. We'd love to see it. We'll take a quick break here on tonight's edition of Woodbine Racing Live. When we come back, we'll talk tonight's 10-race program, which kicks off in 14 minutes.